There we go. All right. All right, you guys. So, welcome back. Welcome to the stream. This is the Juice. And basically, what I want to talk about here on the Juice is I discussed a little bit last week. It was our first stream that we had done. And basically, we just talk about anything bass fishing, anything you want to hear about, any questions you may have. And we also kind of go on a little topic here as well. So, today, the topic I was kind of thinking of, we just had the Bassmaster Classic, and we got to see how that tournament went with between Jason Christie, um, Kyle Welcher, and Stetson Blaylock. And, we got the Bassmaster Open coming up here soon on the James River here in Virginia. And, when it comes to tournament fishing, a lot of people always, or a lot of questions I get, or a lot of things that always run through all our anglers' heads are basically, how do you make decisions on the water when you're prepping for a tournament? You have a game plan and things don't always seem to go right. How do you confidently make a change on the water? And I kind of want to talk about that today. And if anyone there has any other questions, okay, we got some viewers coming in now, but what I was going to talk about today, guys, for some of those viewers coming in, is making decisions on the water in a tournament. We got the Bassmaster Open coming up, and I'm excited for it. I'm not excited about the gas prices. We all know about that run from Osborne all the way to Chickahominy, at least an hour run and then a run back. I mean, you're going to be spending $200 plus a day in gas if you are making that run, and that doesn't even count practice. So now, how is that going to affect decision making or what I plan on trying to do for the Bassmaster Open? But going back to talking about making decisions on the water, I mean, I have had plenty of tournaments where, well, we probably all have had plenty of tournaments where people, you're thinking to yourself, you're on the water, something's not working out right. You pull up to your first spot, you're not catching fish, and you've had multiple different areas where you've caught fish in practice or whatever it may be, and you're trying to think about where your next stop's going to go, especially when things aren't going right. And the next thing you know, your wheels start turning and you're just going back and forth, back and forth. Well, what I've learned in making decisions is just having the confidence. It takes a lot. It takes time on the water to get confidence in making decisions and going around and running and catching fish. And having that confidence to be able to know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And then, it's always a percentage game. When I'm fishing a tournament, I have main areas, but when that doesn't go right, I have to be able to drop everything and go and do, something completely different. But I'm always going to try to stick with something I'm confident in. In the Bassmaster Classic this past week, Kyle Welcher even had to make a change on what he was doing. On day one, he had to make a change. Day two, he had to make a change. But as you make those changes, you start putting those puzzle pieces back together and you start being able to stay on top of the fish. That was something Kyle Welcher was talking about. Matt Pangrak from BTL, he was talking about that as well. And just being able to stay on top of the fish and make those those split second decisions. And the thing is, I've learned, if I pull up to a spot and I don't get bit within the first, 15 minutes, that's usually a sign that I need to move. The fish have moved. Because what I've learned with using forward facing sonar and electronics and things like that, when I'm around fish, I know I should be getting bit. If you're around fish, you're going to be getting bit most of the time, especially if they're active. I mean, sometimes you can be around the fish and they're not active, but still, if you're around them, you should get bit. So, a lot of times it's all about not wasting time. And on a tournament day, tournament waters, everything is calculated. It's all about time, as many casts as you can make, productive casts too, not just casts. If I find myself where I just start, I'm casting and I'm just losing confidence in my cast, or I'm just casting and be casting, a lot of times I need to get moving and I need to get going. And it took me a while. It took me a few tournaments to really kind of get that through my head because I can be stubborn on trying to make an area work. I'll sit there and make multiple casts, and I just think any minute, the next cast is going to be the cast. And occasionally, yes, it could work out and you get a bite, but it's not about getting bites. That one fish that you get could be a fluke. And we got some more people joining in. If you have any questions, so just go over in the comment section. I believe I have it turned on so people can comment. If you can't, you might have to subscribe to the channel, which isn't a big deal. You can always unsubscribe after if you don't want to be subscribed to the channel. But go ahead, put some comments up or any questions that you might have. But I'm just going to continue on with talking about making decisions on the water during a tournament. And I'll tell you, there's been a couple times where, I did the TBF National Championship. I won the Mid-Atlantic Division on Grand Lake, Oklahoma. First day, I didn't have, I caught 2 fish. And the thing was, I was on a bite up in Wolf Creek, and it was on a spinnerbait bite, throwing just a big, Jason Christie spinnerbait behind and around docks. And I didn't think that was going to play for me. And the thing was, after the first day of the tournament, last hour, I said, I'm going to go back. I'd caught him on this in practice doing this. And I don't know why I didn't start with it. I always think there's some bigger, better thing to be doing. I'm always trying to look for that magical spot, but that magical spot usually does not exist. Most 95% of that time, that magical spot does not exist. But that's what I was hunting for, was that bigger. I mean, it was a win or go. It was a all or nothing tournament. Like second place, okay, no, you wanted to be first. It's like the TBF Bassmaster Classic if you look at it that way. And the reason I didn't start with the spinnerbait in the morning was exactly that, because I wanted to try to swing for the fence, get a big bag as I could, and it didn't pan out. So I went back to that spot last hour of the day, right down the stretch, was able to catch 2 fish, and that actually kept me in it. But that clued me in on, I just need to stick with how I caught them in practice, not try to run, swing for the fences, or always look for that next best, bigger thing. And so the next day I went out and I started on that stretch, and I caught 2 fairly quickly, 2 good ones. And then I was able to kind of settle down, and I knew the wind had picked up and I had got bites on an umbrella rig. Even though I didn't catch one in practice, I had bites. I had fish swipe at it, and I just didn't connect on them. And I said, I'm going to go run back to that place. And all I did was fish the conditions. I had one stretch of bank, and I started on the stretch of bank. And I noticed I noticed the wind was blowing the opposite direction. It was blowing up against the other bank. And I said, you know what? I didn't get any bites over here. And I said, I'm going to go run over here, hit this windy bank. And when I did that, I was able to catch and fill out a limit with 3 good ones. And so on the way back in, I did stop and throw that spinnerbait again and was able to call up. And actually, that's what got me to won my division, won my district, was able to fish the final day there on Grand Lake. And that was just a prime example of, fishing the conditions. And when things weren't going right, just going back to what I had in practice and just try to build on that some more and staying on top of the fish. And I mean, that was one example of it. And it's like I said, always trying to look for that next. We all try to look for that next best thing. And in practice, we're always trying to hunt for that special spot. And a lot of times that's just, like I said, it's not the case. And I found out that it's more about just trying to dial in a couple baits, a couple little key things, whether I'm catching them around wood, shallow, shallow docks, deep docks, if I'm fishing grass and things like that. And then I kind of take that around the lake. I don't just don't try to focus on one area. I want to have multiple areas, but still stay open-minded. And that's how most of these tournaments, they pan out. Oh, we got some people. VOR Red. I don't know what VOR Red is. How did you deal with the extreme weather and tough fishing on Lake Cumberland? That was another. It seems like all the big tournaments, like that was the TBF National, or not the TBF, but that was the Toyota Series Championship. That was actually my first year fishing bigger scale tournaments. And I qualified for the Toyota Series Championship, and that was another tournament where it always seems to be those big tournaments where basically I had a horrible practice. Like Grand Lake, I had a horrible practice. Um, Lake Cumberland, I had a horrible practice. I was there for 4 days or something of official practice, and I had caught maybe 5 fish total. And I mean, the main thing was that same thing again, that same mentality. We all watch these YouTube channels, all these videos, and do all this research, and everything you see is down the lake on a crankbait, doing this, doing that. And so that's what I went searching for instead of sticking with my strengths. And luckily enough, I said to myself, I've been down the lake for the past couple of days. I've been fishing everything I can think of, doing everything. And I mean, wasn't really having much success, if at any. And I mean, this is December. I mean, I think the final day of practice, it was snowing, raining. It was 35 degrees outside, blowing 20 miles an hour. I'm doing push-ups and jumping jacks on the boat trying to stay warm. But again, back to, watching those YouTube videos, going off of what other history was, I told myself on the final day, I said, you know what? Why am I going to go practice back down there? There's no reason to. I've explored everything, haven't had success. I said, I'm going to go up the river. And I went up the river for the last hour of practice. And I pulled into a creek, and literally on one stretch, I got one bite. I didn't set the hook. Got another bite, didn't set the hook. Next cast, I got a bite. I was like, I got to check this. I set the hook, caught a 3.5-pound smallmouth. And then I made a couple more casts, got 2 more bites, didn't set the hook. And so that's what I did. I had a horrible practice. It took 1 hour. It took 1 hour for something to kind of click in my head. And on the first day of the tournament, I ran to that spot and literally had a limit in the boat in the first 2 hours. And I think after the end of the first day, I was in 13th place out of 250 boats or something with 13.5 pounds. And that's just, that just shows you, just you can watch all these videos and you do all these things. But what I've learned since then is being confident in just being confident that I know how to fish. If you're fishing tournaments, be confident that you know how to fish. You know how to go out there, find fish, and catch them. Yeah, you're not going to win every time or land on multiple big bags, but you're going to be able to be more successful in your tournaments and have better outcomes. The more confidence you can have. And the thing is, too, I made a video on there's a video on here on my YouTube somewhere, something about becoming a better or becoming guaranteed to help you become a better tournament angler. And what I learned was actually this was from the next TBF national championship I went to was on the Red River. Having mental strength, mental toughness, definitely is key. If you're mentally strong, you have tough conditions like Avery was asking about, on like Lake Cumberland. Like I said, it was snowing, it was raining in practice. We had one sunny day in the tournament. The next day it was cold, blowing, raining, wet, hands freezing, can't even tie on a lure, But then again, at the Red River, when we were there at the Red River, I mean, just imagine a stump field for miles and you have to get back there and you're just constantly banging your boat, getting stuck on stumps. It is exhausting. And so if you can be mentally strong, you literally got half the field beat. You have those guys come back from dock and you hear the dock talk all the time. You hear them always talk about, oh, the fishing's not good. It's been tough. Everyone's struggling. I hate this place. Let's go. If you hear those guys, you got to realize I got these people beat already. So you're really only fishing against maybe a half the field if you think about it that way. But again, having that mental toughness and the mental strength to actually continue on when things are tough, having the confidence in yourself and being able to make those decisions confidently. If you feel it in your gut, which most of us, when you start thinking it, you're feeling it in your gut, you need to go, you need to move. But that's definitely how I kind of go about making my decisions on the water. If I start thinking it, I just need to go do it. Because if I'm not thinking it, that means I'm catching fish and everything's good. But let's see. No substitute for hard work. Learn as much as you can with the time we have. Yep. That's exactly right. I mean, when you got to be able to put in all the work you can. I work extremely hard when I'm on the water. I go and I go and I go. I mean, we all know it. I mean, you don't even stop for lunch. Only time I stop for lunch is if I got a 20-pound bag in the boat. But I mean, I do all my research. I do everything. I do the Google Earth. I do the YouTube videos. I do the maps. I get all the waypoints. I put it all put it all in my unit, and then I show up to the lake, and then I start from there. But I mean, it's just a never-ending process. I mean, but doing that over and over and seeing the actual results and noticing when those results are happening, when you're catching fish or you make a decision, take note of when you make a good decision, you got to take note of that. When you don't make a good decision, you got to take a note of that too. Sometimes you can have a bummer tournament, and sometimes you can just throw that to the wind because you just sucked it up. But I learn a lot more. I learned from the really bad tournaments, I learned from that, but I learned more from the mediocre tournaments. And then because I've made some right decisions in those tournaments, and I've also made some wrong. And I can kind of see where I went right and where I went wrong, why I went wrong, and what a lot of it is how I was feeling when I was making that decision. Was I combating in my head? Things like that. So a lot of it is fishing the conditions, having the confidence in yourself, and just being able to make those decisions on the fly and just go. If you think it, just go. But let's see. We had talked last week about bed fishing, and I'm going to play a clip here, and I kind of want to break down this clip on how we were catching them on this bed. This is another example of just experience, practice, having confidence in my decision. I'll play this clip for you guys and then kind of break it down and go through the process and what I was thinking on that. So I'm going to start this clip real quick. I guess I can unmute my mic and talk through it. But right now, basically, I'm going up. I have a waypoint here where I marked a fish the previous day. And this was just experience. I was looking for fish the previous day on a bed, and I rolled over at this spot, and there was a fish down there. And I didn't cast for her. I didn't try to spook her. I just set a waypoint right where I saw the fish. And then I set a landmark up against that tree. And as you see, I'm talking to my buddy. I'm saying right in front of that tree, and she's sitting out deep. And then I just made my cast. I knew I needed to make a blind cast. Your best chance at catching a big female on a bed, this is going to get good right here, is when you can make a cast without having to get close to her. Oh yeah, this was a fun catch. This was this was a good time. Avery yelling at me, "Take it easy," and I'm like, "No, she's coming." Oh yeah. But see, that's the thing. Earlier on in my tournament practice, I probably would have tried to fish around and catch that fish. But instead, I marked a waypoint, and I just had confidence to know that fish was sitting off in some grass about 10 feet from a bed. And I had the confidence to know, hey, that fish is here for a reason. There's a male on a bed over here, and basically she's sitting off. And I was like, we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to catch that fish. I set the waypoint, marked the spot with the tree. And so I knew when I came back, this was where I had to cast. And I knew my best chances were making a blind cast. That was a 35, 40-yard cast right there. Not 40-yard, probably 30 yard. But anyways, so, I mean, that was just having confidence. That's having experience, knowing. I mean, how many times have we seen fish on a bed and you're going up trying to catch that female and you see that big female and you're like, she just won't bite. She keeps swimming off. Well, that's because she knows you're there. And I knew from experience, if I had gotten too close to that fish, that she was not going to, there was no way I was going to catch her. And so that's why I took that blind cast. But that's just that's just kind of a good way to go about if you're going to be bed fishing, especially in a tournament. you don't always want to just mark the bed. You want to mark where the fish is. If you see the female sitting off, because most of the times that's where that female is going to be if she's not locked on the bed. But that was a good clip. That kind of goes back to what we talked about last week on this channel. Let's see. Summary events. How do these goals impact your decision for an event? Opens versus club events, others. Man. Most goals, well, I mean, the goal a lot of times is, it depends. Big events, my goal is to usually win. And I try to fish to win, but I'm starting to kind of learn, don't always just try to swing for the fence on it. I've learned just go out there and try to catch as much as you can, like we always do. But I don't do anything too crazy in those big events, especially those multi-day events, because you can really get yourself in a hole. So my goal usually in a big event, like say the Bassmaster Open coming here, and my goal is to qualify for the Elite Series. So I don't think my goal should be to go out there and win every event. Yes, I want to win, but I think if I focus on trying to win every event, I'm actually going to do worse. I think it's better to go out there and focus on me, the fish, what my game plan is, and the task at hand, and go out there and just try to succeed at that. And if it goes well, you can win. If it doesn't go well, you still have a good tournament. Now, I have, there's club events and things like that I do. And those are, for me, are just more fun. And I've won some club events where I haven't practiced. I just gone out and I wung it. Is it wung it? I just winged it. I winged it. I don't know. I had a buddy. He said, "Where are you going to start?" I said, "I don't know." I pointed across the boat launch, said, "Right there." Started there, and the rest of the day is history. Caught I think it was 15 pounds, won the tournament. But, that's a smaller tournament. And then, I don't put too much effort in those because, after you fish so many big tournaments and you're fishing constantly throughout the season and you're really just grinding and grinding and grinding, eventually, sometimes you just want to relax and enjoy the experience of a fishing tournament and just go out there and have fun. Yes, I'm having fun in the Bassmaster Opens and things like that, but it's a different level. And, so in those lower club level events, that's more just for fun for me. I'm not worried about trying to win $300 or something. On a 15 or a $60 entry fee or something. But what I like to focus on, again, on those bigger tournaments, like I said, not always focusing on the win or trying to swing for the fence, catch those big fish, get those big bags. Yes, that's what I want to do. But I think that leads me down a path sometimes to having a really bombing tournament. And that's what you hear a lot too about some of those guys, that they're always like, "Oh, I swing for the fence." And you'll have those guys that either they're up there in the standings or they're down at the bottom of the pack. And that's because I think they're constantly trying to fish to win and not so much just trying to have a good event. I think if you just keep staying consistent, having a good event, and trying to have a good event, eventually the win's going to come, and it usually does. Let's see, anything else here? But kind of want to talk about the Bassmaster Classic too. I thought that was cool. Who'd you guys root for? Who are you guys pulling for on the Bassmaster Classic? That's what I want to know. Let's see. I got people messaging me. Got people asking me if I'm live. I'm like, well, yeah, it said 8:00. All right. I don't even know how to message him back. 1 second. Anyways, so we had a couple other topics here too that I thought I would be. God. Oh man. Okay, everything's good. Whoa. Oh man, everyone's calling me. What is going on? Oh, okay. No, my phone just crapped out on me, guys. Sorry about that, but I'm trying to pull up this real quick. Let's see here. Okay, so guys, I kind of wanted to talk also about multi-day tournaments compared to a single day event. A lot of times you get these single day events. Everyone knows these weekend tournaments where it's $120, to go in, pay your money and go fish and just have a 1 day slugfest. Now on those type of tournaments, that's where I I fish them a lot differently. I'm not there for second, third, fourth. You're usually not winning any money if you don't win. So I'm always fishing for first. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go hit all my good stuff, all my good stuff. And if it doesn't pan out, it just doesn't pan out. I mean, you can, and a lot of times too, if you'll hit your good stuff, and if it doesn't pan out, that's where a lot of times where I find a lot of new spots, because then I just start running a bunch of stuff I haven't fished, things that look good. Next thing I know, I start catching a bunch of fish. So it's always good to cover new water. I mean, I know how to catch fish. I know what I'm looking for. But going back to a multi-day event and how I plan on that, sometimes you don't, especially in practice, when I'm practicing, like I said, the Bassmaster Classic's coming up, and I'm wondering how I'm going to practice for that. And last year I practiced for the Bassmaster Classic, or not the Bassmaster Classic. Got it on my mind. I was stoked when I saw Jason Christie win. But let's see, hang on. Pulling for Buddy Gross. But seeing Christie win, yeah, seeing Christie win, I didn't think he had it. I was watching, and I think I texted my buddy and was like, "Hey, I don't think Christie's going to get this," especially after I saw Kyle Welcher weigh in and he was beating Stetson. And then when Jason Christie came up and started to weigh in, I mean, when he said how much weight he had and he won, I screamed louder. My wife was telling me to shut the hell up. But anyways, I want to go back to, how I'm going to practice for the Bassmaster Open. And what I did last year is, we got the James River here in the Chickahominy, and I fished the Chickahominy a lot. So I told myself, hey, I fish the Chickahominy more than I fish the James. I'm going to focus on the James River. Most people would focus on what they fish the most. Well, I don't need to go practice in the Chickahominy and fish all my stuff or fish anywhere, because I know I'm going to go there in the tournament. So there's no need for me to go into the Chickahominy and practice all my stuff, because I know if I go in there, I'm going to be able to hit everything I need to hit in the period of the day. So I focused most of my attention on the James River. The James River, I don't know as well. I know it pretty well now because I spent 4 days in the James River and fished everywhere from, I hate up by Osborne. I know there's big fish caught up and good bags caught up around Osborne, but I focused on everything from Heron all the way down to Grays, because I went to Powhatan. I think Grays is further than Powhatan Creek. Either way. So I focused on those areas because I knew I could have different things to hit throughout the day. And the key with that is it's a tidal fishery. I mean, fishing a tidal fishery, you got to run the tide. So most of it is playing that tide. So if I know, once you get familiar with how to fish the tide, you can look at that tide schedule and see where it's going to be high, where it's going to be low, what the changes. I know basically whether I need to fish my way up or fish my way down, and about where I want that water level to be to wherever my next spot's going to be. And that was super key in the Bassmaster Open, because that's why I wanted to find stuff on the James River, because I'm going to be running a mile or 60 miles, 70 miles down the river. And so I wanted to make sure if I needed to, I had stuff that I could fish on the way down and fish on the way back up. And that worked out for me, because in that tournament, we had that super low tide, a lot of stuff I wanted to fish I couldn't even get to. And that really saved me, because I was able to stop at a spot on the way down, catch some fish. And then on the way back, I actually stopped and caught 3 in a row. Should have caught 4. We tried to stupid and try to boat flip a 3-pounder with a spinner bait, and he came off. But that's one way about fishing the tidal fishery. I mean, and practicing for it. Again, I didn't want to fish stuff that I knew. I wanted to find new stuff, especially so if you're going to be out here fishing tournaments, or if you're fishing tournaments on your local water and you want to practice, go ahead and practice. Don't, I hear it kills me. I mean, I hear people say, "Oh, I'm going to go check my stuff." Like, you go and do that. You go catch all your fish in practice. You go check your stuff. Like, you're going to pull to your spot, catch a 5-pounder. Well, you're not going to catch them tomorrow, So in most tournaments, especially on my local waters, if it's a 1 day event and I'm practicing the day before or the Bassmaster Open, I'm not going to go check my stuff. I'm going to go check my baits. What do I plan on throwing? What are they going to be biting? Because I know if I can get bit on a crankbait, I know where I'm going to go. I know everywhere I can take that crankbait. If I get bit on a chatterbait, then I know. I don't need to run and fish my stuff that I'm going to plan on fishing, or where I know I'm not going to fish where I know I'm going to get bit. There's no need. So finding out the baits is more critical than finding out the spots in the areas, because if you're catching them on a spinner bait somewhere you haven't fished before and you catch them on a piece of wood or a laydown, you know where there's plenty of wood and laydowns. If you're catching them in grass on a chatterbait or a spinnerbait, you don't need to go run to all your juicy grass spots, lily pads. You don't need to run to that stuff and go throw your bait. You should have the confidence to know, hey, if I'm catching them here with this, I know where I can take this the rest of the way for the rest of the day. So that is definitely a great way to practice for any tournament, really. Practice practice means go look for something you don't fish all the time. Don't go check your stuff. Don't go hook a bunch of fish. Just go fish fresh new water that you usually don't fish. But I like that. That was a good topic you talked there, Avery. We got someone trying to join in, but he can't seem to find me on YouTube. Let's see if he knows that. And then I'm going to look. I got another topic here I kind of want to talk about. I kind of want to get you guys involved. You guys are awfully quiet over there. But let's see. You really want me to give away the juice. Okay. Top 3 baits that are going to be on my deck for April on the James River, or just anywhere. We'll just go with the James River. What the hell? Anyways, top 3 baits are going to be on my deck. Well, let me grab them. See, I'm already way ahead of the game. I got all my rods rigged up. Everything's ready. Everything's ready to go for practice and for the tournament. I'm going out there this weekend. Are you coming out there with me, Avery? We going out there? Not your secrets. There's no secret. It's not a secret when you go to Bass Pro Shop the day before the Open and they're all sold out. But see, last year was in May. April can be funny on the James. It can be tricky. You don't know exactly what it's going to be. I mean, you could be catching them on top water. You could be, it's starting to get cold again. It's not staying warm. You can be catching them, deep on channel swings, deep brush piles. I mean, you can always catch them on deep brush piles, but you can also be catching them in a foot of water. So it's going to be more of who runs the tide the best. But first bait I'm going to have tied on. I mean, I think I got a picture of it. I mean, everything I got on the juice is basically what I like to throw. That's a 1.5 square bill. That'll be tied on. Obviously, that'll be tied on every angler's rod. Next bait I'm going to have tied on. No secret here either. Chatterbait, white chartreuse, half ounce. I don't throw anything else. Half ounce. You don't need to go get all fancy with 1/4 ounce 3/8. I'm sure someone's out there watching or gonna watch this replay and be like, "Oh, I catch them on a 1/4 ounce all the time." Yeah, okay. I just throw a half ounce. If I need to reel it faster to keep it shallow, I just reel it faster. I was about to play a clip from one of the Chickahominy videos where I was burning this chatterbait in a foot of water and caught a 6-pounder. So, and then I'm gonna have the Avery special on. Let's get that up there. I mean, I got all my rods rigged up. I still got like 10 rods over there A couple other secret baits on there. But that's just going to be a black and blue Rage Menace. That's going to be, or not a menace, but the Rage Bug. That's going to be my James River bait. It's funny. There's James River baits, and then there's Chickahominy River baits. It's funny how that kind of works. I don't know exactly what it's going to be like there, though. I'm excited to get out there next weekend or this weekend because I just want to see I'm not sure what's going to be growing. You could have some pads there. You could have some pads already growing up. You could have some grass. Well, not so much the grass, but you'll definitely have probably some pads starting to grow that grass on the, the arrowheads and stuff might start be popping up, things like that. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a weird time of year, but it is going to take, I don't know, 225 boats or more. Could be. Oh God. I mean, I know it's going to, I've had tournaments where it took 20 pounds to cash a check. And that was like, they paid out like, I think 19 spots, like just to get in the top 19, it took, I think 20 pounds. But that being said, with 225 boats out there for a whole week, some of those guys are going to be out there. There's probably people out there now. They're going to be out there for a whole month. But you have all that pressure on the water and everything, and that's going to change things up. I've seen it change it up. I've done one as a boater and one as a conger, and I tell you what, pressure on the water changes a lot of things. Really does. So when you practice for a tournament, and especially if you're practicing for a big tournament and you're going to have a lot of boats out there for multiple days practicing, and then tournament starts and then again for multiple days. And it's not, you got to think about it. It's not just, you got 225 boats, you got times that by 2. So what's that? 500, you got 550 people fishing. And that's not even counting the locals and the people that are out there for fun. So those fish are seeing everything. I mean, if you think you're going to have water to yourself, or you're going to fish stuff that people haven't already fished, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. So practicing for that, that's why it's always good to try to find as much stuff as you can. Stay open-minded. So when things aren't going right, you can just change on a dime and just go do the next thing. Let's see, 12 to 13 per day had typically to make the final day. I thought it's been about 15 pounds a day to make the final day. I think, Iconelli had 15 the other 50. He had 30 pounds and didn't make the final day last time. I think it's going to take, to make the final day of the Bassmaster Open on James, it's going to take 17 a day. I think it'll take 30, I'll say 33 pounds. 30. No, I'm going to say 34 pounds. 34 pounds to make the final day of the Bassmaster Open on the James. That's what it's going to take. Now I got proof. I can go back and watch this and see if I was close. Someone's still struggling. Oh, he's got it. All right, let's see. All right, anybody have any questions? Let's see. We got plenty of viewers. Again, guys, if you're watching and you can't figure out how to send a comment or want to send a comment, ask a question, you might have to subscribe to the channel. I'm not 100% sure. I know Mike Coleman, my buddy, was like, I can't send a comment. He sends me a picture, and I look at the phone, and it has a subscribe button, and it says subscribe. And I'm like, well, you're not even subscribed to the channel. I was like, you gotta subscribe so you can send something. But this is the juice. You guys should be asking me some questions. I'll give it all up. I mean, I'm telling you my baits for the Bassmaster Open. Oh, let me see here real quick. Actually, the dues for the Bassmaster Open are due. I actually gotta make some phone calls and get that squared away. Let's see here. I had a couple other things written down, but I don't want to give out bad content, so I only want to put good stuff on here. or what I think is good. What I think is good and what you guys think are good are probably 10 completely different things. But, that's like me when I tell you guys about forward facing sonar. I can talk to people I can talk fishing to people that don't have forward facing sonar. And I know they don't understand the thing I'm talking about and they just don't get it. If you don't have that's going to be my next stream. I'm going to talk about forward facing sonar. I hear so many myths, so many people talk, and I'll tell you what, I'm just like, I just want them. They just don't even know. I hear them. Oh, fish are lethargic in the winter. Uh, they go up, they eat some bait, and then they go back down and just chill. No, they don't chill the rest of the day after they eat one big gizzard shad. Sorry, they eat multiple gizzard shad throughout the day. They feed. There are feeding. Oh God, I could go on for hours about this. There are multiple feeding windows throughout the day. There's one in the morning. Then you're gonna get a lull after the morning, and then again around 11 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock, and then again late in the evening, and then again at night. There's definitely feeding windows, but these fish don't just eat once and then go chill and kick it back on the couch for the rest of the day. Anyone who tells you that, just walk away. There's a lot of things you got to walk away from. I walk away from a lot of doc talk because, yeah. Oh, the weather going to change your gameplay? Yeah, weather's always going to change my gameplay. I mean, if you got the Bassmaster Open or just a tournament in general, especially this time of year, everything's changing, especially in March. I mean, we just had multiple days of really warm weather, so it's jumped that water temperature up. And if you've been on, like I said, I've said this in another video too. If you've been on the water for multiple days in a row and you see water temperature changing and things like that, you'll actually start. This happened at the TBF National Championship. When I got there in practice, all the fish were low. Let's see if I can get this right. They were low in the water column from here down, just stacked, loaded with bait. As it warmed up, I saw that it raised about 5 feet. And then the next day, it raised more. They weren't as thick. They were spaced out. So the fish is definitely going to change with the weather. So, I mean, last year, we had that tournament and it got really cold. It was warm throughout the week and then it got really cold first day of the tournament. I think it was 42 degrees and that definitely pulled the fish off. The thing is, it didn't pull the fish off. I hate when people say that. The fish don't pull off. They don't just pull up on their little shallow spawning areas and then say, oh, it got cold, I'm swimming back. That's another myth. I mean, come on. They're not swimming back out to deep water. They're still there. You just got to change up your tactics. You might have to downsize. You might have to slow your presentation down or speed it up. Something you're either going to have to trigger them or you're going to have to slow down and just keep it in front of their face. One of those two things. They're not going to pull back out. I'm sorry. They're not going to swim hundreds of yards back out. Now they do swim constantly all day long. They don't just sit there. But the weather does change my game plan. If it's going to be super sunny and I'm struggling, I know if it's sunny, I can roll to the docks and catch fish. If it's cloudy, I like to actually throw topwater when it's cloudy. I mean, that it might change up the baits I use, but it's not going to make me leave areas, if that makes sense. I'm not going to leave areas because the weather's changed. I'm just going to change up my presentation. And by presentation, that can be my lure or just the speed at which I am retrieving that lure or what I'm doing with it. But that's the main thing. I mean, you got wind, you got rain, you got clouds, you got post front, pre front. I don't know. All right, it's got me thinking about this pre front and post front myths. Like, I've catch fish. I mean, maybe it's just because it's the time of year, maybe because it's the winter time, but a lot of times I don't see post front or pre front making too many changes in the fish behavior. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be right about that. I don't know. Avery, you fish with me a lot throughout the winter. I mean, do we ever really notice a difference on pre front and post front we don't 25 to 31 pounds for 2 days. Oh, I don't know about that, Avery. I'd be happy with it. 30 pounds. I'd be happy with 30. If I can get a top 30 finish, I'd be happy with that. So I think a top 30 would be 30 30 pounds. 30, yeah. I think 30 pounds would be do I see 30 people catching 15 pounds or more? I probably do, but I'd say 28 would get you a top 30. You can get 14 a day, get you a top 30. But again, no, whether it will change the way I present the bait, but it won't make me change my areas. Like the wind, it might make me go fish the windy side of the bank. I like wind. I notice a difference with forward facing sonar when the wind is blowing and moving in high sunny skies. Everyone's like, "Oh, high sunny skies." You don't know. High sun and wind. Great. Make those fish. It makes the bait come up. It makes the fish active. They're constantly feeding. It's a good time. It's a good time. It's those it's those overcast days where those fish kind of seem to be a little more a little more lethargic. I don't even want to say lethargic. They're just not as actively feeding because I don't think it's the bait. A lot of it has to do with the bait. I mean, I pay attention more so to what the bait is doing with my forward facing sonar. I can get on the body of water and scan around and kind of know what that day is going to be like just on what I see. So again, I want to do a streaming segment on forward facing sonar, live scope, active target. It'll be a good one. I'll tell you that. Some people are going to hate me because I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm trying to watch my language, as you can tell. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a good one. I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm going to talk about a bunch of myths. I'm going to tell you a bunch about people don't know what the hell they're talking about. But the thing is, it's not just me. I'm not being a mean guy. You'll hear everyone say it now. It's funny. Like my buddy showed me forward facing sonar, and I was like, oh, I don't need that. And then once I started seeing that, me and him both were like, hey, we realized there's a lot that we thought we knew that we don't know. And you'll hear all the pros talk about it too. They're like, there's a lot we thought we knew, but we realized we have no clue, and that there's a bunch of myths. And so you can you can tell who has the technology when they're talking about certain things and who doesn't. And I know people that have it that don't even use it or struggle to use it. So I'll also talk about how to use your forward facing sonar, what baits to use, how to present the bait, how to go about finding the fish, how to go about knowing what kind of fish you're looking at, where to search for those fish, how to present your bait. 90% of fishing and getting bit is presenting the bait. The other 10% is the bait. But again, the type of bait is what allows you to present it correctly. So really it's basically 100% presentation between, the bait, which allows you to speed. It's going to be a good one. I don't want to give it all away on this one. Not on this stream. I'll do it next. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about streaming. I did it today, but I'm thinking about doing Mondays and Wednesdays. I don't know. I get bored. So I'm like, let me go stream. So I'm thinking about doing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm super tired today, guys. I worked my tail off today doing mulch and prune and crepe myrtles. It's that time of year my work's picking up. So I'm out there 9 hours, 8 hours. And then I got to come home and do more business work and all that. And then I came up here and got this stream set up. I almost fell asleep on the couch before I came up here. I was like, oh, I got to get going. So, but what time is it? 8:49. Avery nearly 30 pounds will be close to the final day cut. It could be. It depends. The tournament's in a month. Dude, Avery. You say that, I'm fishing for 18 a day. I'm fishing for 18 a day. That'll make it to the final day. Final day will be 18 a day. 16 is, dude, final day is going to be, man, it's going to be interesting. I know I always give more weight, but then I realize there's 225 boats. practicing beating up my poor James River and Chickahominy fish, just demolishing them and then taking them all the way up to Osborne Landing to release them. Like, hurts my soul. Gosh. Oh, are the cat trails going out of there this year? Are they going out of Osborne, or did they get back in good graces with Route 5? I wish Route 5 would be the main turn. I wish they would make that place a better ramp, because because I would rather fish get released there so they have the option of going back to the Chickahominy or going up the James River, instead of all these fish that everyone goes down river to catch and then takes them up to populate Osborne Landing. And that's why Osborne Landing up there is so good. So if you guys are watching, how about you all fish around Osborne Landing? Because a lot of fish get released up there. I'll just go the other way and just catch nothing because they're all up at Osborne Landing. Some, yes. Oh man. Well, anyone else have any other questions? I think I'm about done here. I haven't even taken a sip of water yet. Do you guys like the set? I changed the light colors to blue. I had them green last time, but I mean, here, watch. You get purple, you get white, yellow, ooh, red. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which color I like the best, but it's my little setup. I went and actually I bought some stuff. I got even like, oh, I can't even pull them over here. I got like lights on stands. I got one in front of me, like behind the camera, shining at me. I got this one over here, like shining at my face. It's supposed to give me some shadow, give me some edge. I don't know. And then I got the little ambiance in the back, but I got my trophies and stuff back here. I thought that would be a cool little setup. Got my guns down here, but yeah, I went cheap. I keep looking at this screen. I got you guys on both screens. But anyways, yeah, I went cheap. I mean, I spent like $60 for the lights and 60 for those, and like 40 for the speaker and 15 for the little arm. I'm still trying to get used to talking into the mic like this, but I don't know. It's my little setup. I gotta get out of the way. Oh, wife's gonna wake up. I gotta figure out where to put this guy. I don't know. Where should I put him? I think if I could just stick him right here. I think that'd be good. The deer head in the corner. New house, just moved in. My wife's pretty anal about me putting holes in the wall, so I don't really know where I should put the deer head. I kind of want it up here so I can look at it. I never get to look at it, but I don't think the wife's gonna go with that. I'm not allowed to put a hole in the wall without her approval. Like, all this behind me kind of got me in trouble, but I don't know where else I'm supposed to put it. It's like my little. It's not a man cave. It's a crow's nest. It's up in the. It was the attic, and then I guess the previous owners turned it into a theater room, so it works good for all my stuff. But I don't know. I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I'm getting kind of tired. Let's see. Avery Neely, Cat 5 minutes. All right. So next stream, I'm thinking I'm going fishing Saturday, so I don't think I'm gonna stream Friday night. Thinking Thursday. I think we'll do it Thursday. I'm going to do live scope, active target, forward facing sonar. Tell you guys everything you know about that. Debunk all these myths. Tell a bunch of people that they don't know what they're talking about. They can come here and try to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'll sit here and go back. You can it make for some great conversation. Telling people all these myths. So I'm gonna get out of here, and I'll see you guys next time. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And Avery, we're going fishing. We're going fishing Saturday. We're going. Me and you. We're going on my boat. My boat. Okay. I gotta run it. I gotta run it. So, all right, you guys. I'll see you guys on Thursday, 8 o'clock. And done.